All right, and then Shooter Hunt, the vice president of scouting at Prep Baseball, joined the episode today. So let's get into that interview with him.
I always love this. We're able to be joined here by a recurring guest on the Bullpen podcast in Shooter Hunt. He is the vice president of scouting for the entire company. He has his pulse and his fingers on everything national that's going on across all states, all regions. He's looking at the high level players from every class, college baseball. He's keeping, in touch on the upcoming draft, the draft that just took place, these guys that didn't get drafted that are making it to college campuses, and at the same time, all of these high school classes that are coming through. He's just getting off a crazy busy weekend for him at the All American game, where he plays a huge part in selecting that star-studded roster. But Shooter, thank you for joining us. It's always really appreciated.
Well, I appreciate you having me back, boys. I can't believe I'm a recurring guest. This is awesome. And you know what's funny is I was just watching a video of Quinn Shambo at Oklahoma State, like taking BP. I randomly scrolled past it, and I was like, "Ooh, I can't wait to watch him at Oklahoma State. That's so much fun." But all those guys on campus. So anyway, thanks for having me back.
No, I think that's a good call out. Is there are a lot of Illinois guys that were getting some buzz for the draft this past summer. Quinn Shambo was one of them. He was actually our Illinois Player of the Year. He helped lead Libertyville to the state title. Shooter, but like there were a number of other guys that made it, to campus that didn't get drafted. Jack Bauer made it to campus. Cameron Appenzeller did get drafted but made it to campus. So it was a very, Brandon Shannon, another one, makes it to Louisville. And we were getting reports that he's already been up to like 97, 98 and some fall stuff. So, have you been keeping your finger kind of to the college landscape and what's going on in the fall? Because it's got to be hard for you with everything you got going on.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm such a fan of college baseball, and I think probably what a huge reason for that is like I know all these guys, right? We go throughout high school for 4 years. You guys are the same way, right? You're going to be rooting for Brandon Shannon. You're hoping, oh, he's a weekend guy and he turns into a first rounder. Jack Bauer, the number one kid to make it to campus for us in the on-campus rankings there at Mississippi State. Talk about Appenzeller, right? All these guys, Shambo. But like it's fun to follow them, and I think that's something that even in the families internally, like your future games team from 6 years ago, you knew where each of those guys went. You're continuously rooting for them as they go forward. And I think all of us are just fans of baseball first and foremost, right? If we weren't, we wouldn't be doing this. So like cheering the game on, and then the hyper locality aspect of it. You guys are huge Illinois fans. I'm sure you want the Illinois guys to do better than the Wisconsin guys or better than the Indiana guys in Ohio, whatever it may be.
No, you mentioned it here, and I don't want to dominate this call, but like we've been talking about it the past couple weeks, is following these Illinois guys once they get to the next level, college, pro ball, whatever it may be. And it is crazy how many guys are impacting pro baseball right now from Illinois. Like they were doing the postseason awards. Ryan Sloan, Mariners, minor league pitcher of the year. Nate George was the Baltimore Orioles Player of the Year, like all this stuff. So, whether a guy goes to college and whether he goes to a D3 and has a really good career there at JUCO or pro ball, it's just always really good to see guys from Illinois succeed at the next level and really make a name for Illinois baseball, because I think it's only getting better. And you see it.
For sure, even you talk about Nate George, and all of us can like talk about that because of the shift that we had to the advanced analytics. And Nate George was such an incredible athlete. It was like something we were always following. It's a little crude with the setup, right? It was like the raw athleticism was there, but we knew all the tools were there. The Orioles have done an incredible job taking guys like that and developing them, which they've done for Nate George. And like that even ties over into the thing that I believe, right? I'm from New Jersey, so it's always like, hey, New Jersey puts out a lot of talent. But every time I talk about it, it's like, but of the cold weather states, like Illinois is like that dude. Like Illinois is that guy. Like Pennsylvania's really good too. But like as much as I want to go to bat for New Jersey, it's like, hey, we're going to start in Illinois. Who are the guys there? Because we know that they have a really good shot of succeeding in professional baseball. There's a track record of these guys going on and doing big things at the major league level.
Well, I'm really glad you said that, because I feel like that's taken some years for you to even see, from doing this, is just how the amount of talent that comes out of Illinois and how they pop late. A lot of Illinois arms will pop late, so on and so forth. They're multi-sport guys in high school. But, staff here, I want to open up to you guys. We're lucky enough to be joined by Shooter. I know his time is really valuable. So what kind of questions do we have for our guy right here?
Yeah, Shooter, you're actually the first recurring guest on the show, so appreciate that.
I need a shirt.
But no, we just finished up the All-American game. So I guess I just wanted to ask, like, what were some of your biggest takeaways from those Illinois guys? I know Wisniewski and Tomey were really the only two Illinois guys playing, and kind of Sushi Wilson too, but he's down in Florida now. So
You can't forget about Bass, who broke his finger the week before, so we miss out on that. But I think just being in person to see Ethan Bass, like, he's gotten bigger, like, and in a good way. He still has all the athleticism in the world. One of the best kids, my favorite kid to be around. Although he's still working on his social media game. I think it's going to be a breakout year, and I expect to see him at the Super 60. We kind of talked about that, reintroducing yourself, getting ready for a big spring. But Tomei at the top. Obviously, we've talked about Drew, like, one of my favorite hitters in the class. I think he might be one of the better, if not the best, pure hitter in the class. Just the ability to track and the swing decisions are sensational. Everything he does is easy. I think you can even look at the game. Like, I think early on he took a breaking ball first pitch, and it's just such a big league look of how he slows it down. He's not worried about everything. Obviously, one of the best kids in the world. His dad, Hall of Famer Jim Tomei, great parents. To do that, but start looking at like him versus Gavin Keelan, who was a first rounder last year at Tennessee. They kind of have similar profiles, left-handed bat first. Where's he going to profile defensively? Who cares, because he's going to hit. And I think even more power is going to come. He showed more than enough throughout the summer where, hey, does this guy have the power? And oh yeah, in games he does hit home runs in key national events. So he does have that there, and I think it's only gonna get better. But more than anything, cold weather hitters should not be able to track as well as he does. He does not see these guys like in Florida on a daily basis. So stepping in the box, slowing things down, and having the ability to get off big swings in an instant, that's a rarity, especially coming out of a cold weather state. So I think the world of Landon Tomei. You talk about Wisniewski, and I was telling his dad afterwards, like, late in the game, especially at an All-American game, right? You kind of want to back end a little bit, like, hey, if we get into trouble, something happens, a little hiccup, at least we have Wisniewski late. And that was a key coming out of the future games where we've talked about it ad nauseum, right? The McHenry kids, like, they get after it. They know how to win. This kid hops on the mound, and I swear I'm doing the announcing with Corey up in the booth. We were hardly able to get his full name out before the inning was over because he was working so fast, and Dyson got like some of the best hitters in the country up. But he worked so fast that it was over. And the fact that he runs a 6.5, he's an ultra athletic kid. He took BP the day before. I think it's only going to help him. And I was talking about, because he's got those clear Oakleys with the white rims. We were going through an interview, which I'm sure is going to come out soon. I was like, wait, why are you wearing those? He's like, I just can't really see very well. So like, it's all part of his mystique. But the slider, the changeup, the fastball, everything metrically is explosive. I don't know how high school kids are going to be able to hit him. So I think McHenry, I'm sure we'll talk about some of their future coming up because they have a good 28 as well. But I actually might be circling McHenry to go check them out soon. But I think those were the three guys over there, four guys.
No, I mean, you couldn't talk on Caden Wisniewski any better. Like, that's just who he is. That's and no matter, he could be playing, a bunch of buddies in the backyard or at the All-American game. I feel like he goes about his business the same way every time. The results are the same. He's there to dominate. He's not there to, he lets his pitching and his game do the talking, which I love. But you also mentioned Tomei and his swing decisions, his takes. You mentioned his dad. We all know that obviously is something that's very easy to like when you have a Hall of Fame dad, and you can kind of dream on Landon. Like every time I've seen him, since the first time I've seen him, he keeps getting better and he keeps getting more athletic. But I come back to thinking of, he had Jaden Fauske a year above him at NAS that he's probably hitting with in the cages, hitting constantly. And that was what always impressed me so much with Jaden, was just how polished, mature, his swing decisions, how relaxed he was in the box. And like, if that's just kind of, getting into Landon's game even more than it already was, like that's only just going to make him even more well-rounded, all-around hitter. So
Drew, I think the opposite happened. I think that Landon Tomei's game got into Jaden Fauske, and that's what catapulted. That's what it looks like to me, at least.
Hey, either way, like if they're feeding off each other, then kudos to them. I'll never forget watching Jaden Fauske come off the bench in a playoff game for Naz as a freshman. and he looked like a pro guy in the box. He didn't even swing the bat one time, and I could not believe his takes for a freshman in a playoff game situation. How calm he looked. I think he ended up walking, but hey, you may be right. I think both of those guys probably had a little bit of it in them their entire life, and if they fed off each other, those are two of the most special left-handed bats to come through Illinois in a long time. So either way, I'm excited for Landon. I'd love to hear you talk, about his game the way you are.
Yeah, I actually have a follow-up just on the Tomey and Bass conversation. Listen, it was like a big thing, I feel like, here in Illinois when we finally moved Tomey up to number one. And I think the unique thing is in the national rankings right now, you have them neck and neck there as well. Bass is just one spot behind Tomey. Maybe more so for the listeners at home, what really right now is the biggest separator between those two? Obviously, is it as simple as Tomey's bat? A lot of the things you saw All-American game, but I think unfortunately for you, like we didn't get to see Bass at the same event, but you track these guys at all their national events over the summer. Just kind of talk about those two guys and really what's separating them right now.
I'm looking at the sheet here, but I think a lot of it comes down to grouping, right? They're back to back, like flip a coin. Tomey hits left-handed, like the bat's there. We kind of can bet on that. Bass is a right-handed hitter, although he's probably got a better chance to stick at shortstop. Like the defensive tools there. I think so much of our rankings, and you guys can attest to this from the state level, is like, hey, these are groupings of guys, right? If it comes down to draft day, ultimately, like if we think these guys are exactly the same, right? If the Cubs are picking at 24 and these guys are exactly the same, well, the guy who's going to take less is probably who they're going to take, right? They're going to save this money, which is why the draft is so different than any other sports draft, right? It's a lot of accounting that goes into it, right? We've seen so many guys in the third round get more than a first rounder, and all this stuff goes all over. For those two guys, we'll take them both, and that's a big reason why they're back to back. And I think right now, when I'm looking at things and we're evaluating, like the hit tool is just so valuable. Like if you can feel really good about where this guy's going to go and his ability to hit the baseball, that's just ultra important. I think that's what you see in a lot of our rankings. Like a lot of the value gets found in like, who do we feel best about hit? Now, if you add the power into it, right, these guys get elevated in that top 10 stratosphere. But really, if you're looking at a national perspective, the top 30 guys, I'd say probably top 40, you're looking at almost a first round type grade, because over the long run, whether it's out of high school or out of college, 30 of those guys on average are going to be first rounders from a class. You expand to, hey, if we are ranking guys and hitting on a 50% clip, right, that would be 60 guys that we're throwing in a bucket saying are going to be first rounders. So I think, this is shifting to a full other discussion of things of like, hey, being in a top 100 player in the country is really awesome. Being a top 500 player in the country is incredible. Like those are huge feats. But I think more than anything, those two specifically, they're unique, different, but like also very, very good players. They're back to back. You could flip a coin. Like it may switch in the next 3 months. It's just going back and forth. And ultimately, whoever gets either or both of them is going to be very happy.
Shooter, one of my favorite things that you say in your tweets, undersized is the new 6'4". Where does that come from? Kind of break down scouting those undersized guys compared to like, the guys with the waist goes up to their neck. Trying to like rank what you value when comparing the guys, especially with like arms and middle infielders.
Well, it's more a bigger topic of I'm very intrigued by like the cutting edge, right? Like what's coming next. Like if you think back to most people start like this guy's an athlete, right? You step on the field, he's 6'3", 210, and I can remember actually many moons ago being at East Coast Pro as a player and like seeing guys like walk around here in the scouts like that looks like a big leaguer. But like thinking to myself, being as most kids as you should be, like screw that guy, like he stinks, I'm going after him type. Like just because he looks like that doesn't mean he's good. And I can remember a specific player from then being like, he stinks. Yeah, he wears the uniform well, but that guy stinks. And I'm sure most of these smaller guys, the undersized or the new 6'4", think the same thing, right? There's a chip on their shoulder. And the game kind of pivoted towards like, hey, there's value here. Why is there value? Because there's a lot of teams who are not thinking they're valuable. So an Alex Bregman, whoever it may be. I think back to Jet Williams. Jet Williams was like kind of the guy who pushed things forward. First round of the Mets, probably going to break in next year with the big league club, but he was from Texas. Drew Burress this year, right? He's going to come out of Georgia Tech. He'll be a first rounder. He's like that big name who kind of fits this mold. And then you dive even deeper, like as a pitcher, you're pitching this guy who has like kind of shorter arms, like the wrist to elbow situation where like there's not as big of holes and long levers for them to control. Now they can't really leverage the frame like an Aaron Judge can do. But like there's less holes, at least for me going against those guys. So there is value there. What's the guy with the Guardians? Their top guy. Shoot, he's kind of in the same mold. You guys know what I'm talking. Getting ready to watch the game. But anyway,
Jose Ramirez.
Jose Ramirez.
Yeah,
so like
yeah.
kind of fits the same. Shame on me for not knowing that. I could tell you anything about your 27 class. I don't know who Jose Ramirez is. But like those are little things, right? There's value in that. The same way, like there would be sidearm value. But I do think the game there is some shift, right? We're looking at like the Yankees have Aaron Judge, right? Their top prospect, Spencer Jones, 6'7" lefty. Like, hey, those are huge guys. There are holes, but like there's massive power potential from what they're seeing. So for a while, it was like, hey, get in this middle land of like 6 foot to 6'3", right? We're getting these guys succeed. If you look at historical data, like the best pitchers are like 6'3", 6'4", whatever it may be. I'm looking at, hey, I think in the last 10 years, the game has changed. Like things at the player development side, the youth level, as you guys see, like players have gotten way better. And all different sizes. If you're not trying to analyze where is there a market inefficiency, where can we find value in those guys, then you're missing out, right? You're going to be late to the undersized of the new 6'4". You're going to be late to the like, hey, 6'8" pitchers can repeat because they're such good athletes. So like that's kind of where that came from with those undersized guys, because for so long when I broke in, like the old school mindset, like, oh, that guy can't be a first rounder. Well, why not? They've shown they can. Hey, this guy's not going to hit for power. Like everybody's hitting for power now, right? The Yankees have Jazz Chisholm. He's 30 plus home runs. Volpe had 25 2 years ago. Like all these guys have this huge upside, even if they're not the biggest dude. So like you can't like just kick it, throw it in the garbage and just be like, no, this guy's too small. Like nobody's too small for anything. And honestly, at this point, like nobody's too big, because there was a while where like, hey, those pitchers are too big. I don't want to deal with those inefficiency. Well, hey, shoot, if this clicks, there's just not much that looks like it. So that's a long-winded answer. There's a lot that goes into it though.
Well, and
No, I love it.
As you're talking, I'm just like in my head going through guys. Like Nate George kind of fits that mold. Like he's not the 6'4" prototypical pro body, but he's super athletic like you talked about. I remember Termar Johnson with Georgia maybe being a guy. Sam Antonacci, we were talking about him the other day on our podcast. He's in Illinois, just kind of a average frame, but he rakes, and he's got amazing bat to ball and plate discipline. He's got like a 4-something OBP in AA.
And you know what's true? Like and we've done this again. I'm gonna like I keep talking about, but like the advanced metrics that we have, whether it's the Vol, TrackMan, Blast, all the stuff that we've invested in, especially with the jump mat, like teams are very glued into that. Like the amount of analysts that I talk to who like ask, like, did you see these metrics, this, and this, which is why we do it, right? There's so much that can be taken away in the correlation. Although I love uniting the like in person with the analytics, because I think that the bell curve is like, that's where you need to be on that. You can't go too extreme in either way, because being in person and having feel for the game, like you guys know these players, right? You walk out, you see Caden Wozniewski just stand on the mound. It's like, yeah, he's okay. But like when you talk to him off the field, like, wow, this kid's like, he's not loud about it, but he's super confident. And the same thing, like Tomei is, well, yes, sir, you to death, and he'll shake your hand. But like when he steps in the box, he's a killer. And like those are things that you have to be there in person to see, right? But like going to see them, a big reason is, hey, we have these metrics. What is this guy doing? Like, and talk about Nate George especially, like, hey, we need to circle back. Even if we didn't like the way he was setting up, there's something here and we're going to go look at it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if anybody else has any questions here. I have one that I just was curious about, Shooter, is you did just get through the future games, the All-American game, which is a huge part of your entire year, kind of what, we're all focused on are these huge events. What do the next couple months look like? What's your October look like? I know Super 60 is kind of already on the horizon, but what do you get into now?
I had a lot of desk work. Kind of the summer wrapped up with the All-American game, but the fall gets going. I was at the West Coast Super Sophomore Games, which our Super Sophomore Games have become massive, right? And I love the regionality of it because you kind of get to see, hey, this is the next group. We're preparing for the future games next year. These are some names to know. You guys get a chance to see them, and the value in you guys seeing them and having the connections with the college coaches, because I talk about it all the time, like they're not stopping the recruiting. Yes, they can't talk to those players yet, but they're going to want to know who they are. They definitely want track record, right? That you don't want to walk into Lake Point at the NPI or at the national championships or go to Grand Park for MPL and be like, who do I need to see here? If you don't know who you need to see here, that's an issue. So like that's a big aspect of what I'm doing in October, kind of trying to get ahead of stuff. 2029 class introductions. I'm sure you guys have seen them a little bit. The fall championships. Who are the guys we're going to be following from that standpoint? And then like you talked about the Super 60, I think this could be an even bigger year, right? We have the Major League Baseball kind of shut down. They put a dead period on the scouting community. It opens up right around when the Super 60 will be February 1st there in Chicago, which I always tell the kids, like, especially the warm weather guys, are like, really, Chicago in February? I'm like, it works. This facility's incredible at the max. It's like 200 scouts right on top of you. I always think of like wrestling. Did you guys ever go to like a high school wrestling match where they like shut the lights off, the introduction, there's a single light on? It's almost like a WWE type atmosphere, and then you step onto the mound, and here comes Blake Walters throwing 100 miles an hour in front of like 600 of his closest friends and family right next to him. So getting the Super 60 guys going, because we want to give those pitchers enough time to like, hey, map out, this is my path towards July 13th or whatever it is next year in Philadelphia. So lots of desk work and just kind of touching base with college coaches. What are you seeing? Where are we at? Talking with you guys, like it's a lot of learning too. Like sitting on, especially at the All-American game, talking to all the kids, like the amount of like YouTube tweaks that the pitchers were making. Like I do the same thing. Like like where is player development going? Where's the scouting community going? What can we teach really well? Hey, the kick change was huge last year. I think the split finger is becoming way more in vogue right now. Like, is that a pitch that guys can command? Is that something that you pay for? Or is that like a trick? Like, is that something that is not super valuable? It's something we can do later. So like from the pitching side, that hitting, where are we going to go? Are we still launch angles? Or are we going to be able to do more bat to ball, which I think is the direction we're headed in, especially with the speed game. And then headed towards the winter meetings where, hey, there might be new rules in effect. Right now we're challenging strikes and balls. Like how does that affect catchers and receiving? Is it as big of an is that as big of importance? Is that as enough of a tool that you have to put value in it? Or can we start sacrificing a little bit of the receive so that we have more power in the bat? This is me just going, you just crawled into my head on a mega like rabbit hole though.
Well, no, I'm very intrigued by what you just brought up. The, challenge system, what it will do to catchers and the value of behind the plate. I think the challenge system, one would imagine, will only get more and more automated, as this becomes implemented. So more years down the road, I would think less valuable as far as catchers receiving, but who knows? We'll see about that. I didn't think it was going to be all that important for catchers to be able to throw because nobody was stealing bases anymore, and then they made the bases bigger, and steals became back kind of in the mix here. But just me speaking from a scouting director perspective, Shooter, like, thank you again for coming on. I'm always amazed how you keep tabs with every state and all the players, and you navigate the national rankings. I think it's got to be one of the hardest jobs in the country, in our company, excuse me, to do that and to make an actual true overall national rankings. And you mentioned it, like you're talking to us all the time. Like you are in touch with Illinois, Wisconsin, Florida, Georgia, all these different states. We have all different ways we evaluate guys and rank guys. So then you're sifting through a lot. So it's really impressive. And from everything I heard about the All-American game, you ran an absolutely awesome event. And can't thank you enough for just kind of joining us and giving us some of your valuable time here today.
Well, you guys all make me look good. That's I get to fly around in my unicorns and rainbows, just enjoying life. I get to sit out and watch baseball. So thank you guys so much for having me on. I look forward to hopefully, hey, a third time post Super 60.
Let's do it.
Say
Mark
the
it
word.
down. Yeah, before
Shooter,
our
real quick.
winter gets crazy. Yeah, what's up, Todd?
Let the people know what you got cooking with the War Room coming up. Anything exciting that you're kind of looking forward to with that show?
The recruiting essential aspects of it is like my favorite deal right now. And if anybody out there, if you have questions, please feel free to email me. Send it to these guys, because it's meant to help parents and kids navigate. I'm intrigued by like what's the direction, where are we headed, even beyond just like the LSUs and Arkansas, whoever, Texas, whoever it may be, those top schools. Like, how is this school at the Division II level? How is this JUCO school? How do you guys recruit? How do I get seen? It's really difficult for a parent, and I am a parent now, so like I'm actually just trying to dive into the youth baseball world. And for a guy who's in baseball, like I am so clueless when it comes to like all the like 7, 8U, whatever the
I'm right there
rules,
with you, Shooter. I'm
the
right there
amount of
with you.
stuff that is going on. So like I'm curious about it. If anybody has questions, I know Notre Dame will be the next one coming up from the recruiting essentials aspect. So all you Golden Domers in the Chicagoland area, get ready for that. But yeah, it really is kind of specifically geared towards the recruiting aspect and helping out all these kids who are coming to your events. Hey, they want to be recruited. How do I do it? How do I get in front of coaches? Because I could go on forever. Just like you make it easy for them. Like reach out, be on top of things, and kind of from an early age, you don't want to be playing catch up. It really is. I think Dan Savy put up a great tweet the other day about like not being late to the party. It's I wish it was easy, and if you were good enough, they'd find you. It's like if you're great, they'll find you. If you're good enough, there's like a lot of guys in every state who are kind of as good as you. So like you have to be a self-starter and get after it from the recruiting aspect.
Awesome stuff. Make sure to follow Shooter on X and all other platforms. He's always putting out great stuff, and keep doing awesome work, Shooter.
You guys are the best. I can't wait for the preseason All-State.
Let's go. Should be loaded again. We'll see.
Always.